Welcome to an episode of Tangentially Related, a podcast that's like a phone call with your best friend. I'm Laina, and I'm here with my bestie, Gina.
Hello.
And I don't know what we're going to talk about today. Lady, what are we talking about today?
We need to finish a conversation, actually. In a previous episode, you said something along the lines of, it's like the old werewolf versus vampire debate.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
First of all, no. Who's having the debate?
What?
Or maybe, why am I not having that debate more often?
Wait, have you seriously never had this debate before?
If I have, it was like one time forever ago. Not enough that this is a common thought.
This is something that regularly comes up for me.
I love that for you.
When I say regularly, I'd say at least like once a year.
Stop. That's incredible. You just like threw it in so casually that I was like, hold on. We talked about it just a tiny bit, but basically this is the debate where you would have to choose which monster you would be if you had to be one, and kind of the pros and cons of werewolves, vampires, the whole shebang. I'm glad we talked about it as much as we did in that episode.
But you need more.
I need more. I need a full conversation. I need reasons. I need your thought process. Who was the first person that ever asked you this question? Why is this an age-old debate? I'm sure people listening think I'm crazy because they've heard this before.
I think you're crazy. I think that the audience will be on my side because I'm sorry. Anybody in the 90s who watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Okay.
has talked about this, which I think is like the OG source for me personally. I love Buffy, even though the first season is painful to watch. And now it's complicated because Joss Whedon apparently is a bad human being.
Oh.
I know. God, fucking men and all their shit.
They just gotta do dumb shit. Okay. I have several friends that like Buffy, but I never got into it, so I need to.
You're not like a huge fantasy girly. Like, I know you like the occasional fantasy series. Like, I know you like A Court of Thorns and Roses. And you like mythology sorts of things. But
Yes.
Monster of the Week fantasy is not really your shtick.
I like the spooky element of it.
That's true.
I think that sort of like loops me back in. I like the spooky weirdness of it, although I'm saying this and I don't think that I could ever get into supernatural.
Oh, girl, that breaks my heart.
That was always like, what is happening? I remember dating someone in high school who just like loved that show, and I was like, this is crazy. Not my thing at all.
It is
and
crazy.
then sure enough, post-college, the show was still going on, I think. I don't know. I just remember hearing about it again when I was an adult, and I was like, is this that one show? Yes, it was. Holy crap, that show went on forever.
It went on forever. 15 seasons.
Wow.
This will relate back to the werewolves versus vampire discussion because, funnily enough, they exist in Supernatural too.
Of course, why not?
Of course. Here's the thing with Supernatural, before we go back in the conversation a little bit. It went on for 15 years. I have seen maybe half of it. And there are some rough seasons in there. There's some really rough seasons in there.
Yeah.
If you are doing something for 15 years, you're going to have some misses.
That's true.
You're going to have some misses.
Yeah.
But I actually have decided to start a Supernatural rewatch/watch. But I do understand why you might be able to be like, yeah, I could get into Buffy, but not necessarily Supernatural. Because in my brain, those are two different types of fantasy.
Okay.
Once you said, I was like, you like the spooky aspect of like Buffy. I'm like, okay, you are more into, and I can't think of another word, and I do not mean this word is insulting in any way, shape, or form. More like kitschy fantasy.
Okay, yeah.
Where it's like hocus pocus, practical magic, that sort of fantasy. Feels like it's a little more your vibe. Is that wrong?
Yeah, no, I would say that checks out.
Okay. So that's why I'm like, Buffy, oh yes, that makes sense. Because that's a very similar vibe, just a different format. But this is important because in the werewolf versus vampire debate, you have to basically decide what universe and what iteration of these fantastical beings we are talking about. I know our original conversation was about Twilight, which I don't even remember how we got there.
Yes. I think it was just because of the debate. Like, yeah.
I think it's because I mentioned Taylor Lautner, who is from Michigan. I actually think that's how we got there. This is beside the point.
That's true.
Circling back. That, like, vampire werewolf is so different than like Buffy's vampire werewolf.
For sure.
Sort of thing. So you have to figure out what rule set you're working in. This is my neural spicy brain coming out being like, I need to know the rules.
I need the rules.
I need the rules. I need the outlines. I need the guides. Because without those, I'm confused.
Well, I guess for werewolves and vampires, there are some basic rules to those monsters. They've definitely been in very different settings, but at the end of the day, the same rules should apply to each creature.
Tell that to Twilight, who vampires couldn't be in the sun because they were sparkly.
So true.
Excuse me? That was so stupid.
And why was there never any mention of, like, garlic or anything?
Yeah.
They didn't eat because they would consume blood instead. So, okay, cool, we've covered that. But no garlic, not at all.
So
I don't give a shit if it feels like a cheap trope. At least mention it. Something like that.
No, for sure. The problem with the debate is you have to pick your universe, and because you have to pick your universe, the answers vary for people from universe to universe.
Like
in Twilight, if I were in that universe, werewolf for sure. Mostly because I want to be able to go out in the goddamn sun. It's like, excuse me, which kind of negates most vampires for me, unless we're talking Buffy/Angel universe, and I had that fancy ass ring. And I guess I realize I just spoiled something for you. It gets destroyed, and you won't remember by the time you get there.
Okay,
because it's like Angel season something. Because there was a spinoff.
Got it.
Why not? So yeah, I guess for you, if you were having this debate, what universe would you pick?
I don't know that I want to pick a universe just yet.
Okay.
Or at least that's not where I'm basing my decision. Maybe we'll get there.
Okay, if I remember correctly, you said vampire, which I vehemently disagree with.
Oh, true. I didn't remember that we actually, that I did answer the question.
It was at like the very end. I'm remembering this now.
Yes. Okay.
But yes, and I was like, what? Absurd.
All right, gut instinct, werewolf versus vampire. Vampire. They're just sexy. They always have been.
Really?
It's so funny that also I think like oftentimes your looks are not even like the most interesting thing about a person, but still, that is my immediate gut reaction. Vampires have just always been so sexy. There's so many good movies, and mostly not in the sense that I have been attracted to vampires or vampire characters, but it's always been that sort of sexy attitude and I guess it's probably the mystery, no sun, nighttime sort of thing. So anytime that a vampire is depicted, they're always like hot, swanky, mysterious,
moody,
yes. The most brooding characters. And maybe I feel this way because there are just so many more vampire movies than there are werewolf movies.
Probably because it's a special effects thing where you're just like, okay, we could just make someone really fucking pale and they pass as a vampire versus someone turning into an animal. That's hard.
No, it's so true. And I don't know, maybe the hair aspect hasn't always been attractive about werewolves. I think it's totally wrong, because actually, having a lot of hair that you can style, very fun. Someone needs to play that up. Maybe we've done it, and I just haven't seen a movie that hits that, but yeah.
Okay, now is when the werewolf world in which we were discussing becomes pertinent, because I'm like, are you talking about like a humanoid wolf person werewolf, or like a wolf that's very large werewolf?
I always imagine like a humanoid like werewolf. I think, isn't that one of the rules? It is like they are a human who turns into a werewolf.
Yes, but some depictions are made to be more like a traditional wolf, just like larger and like more bulky. And some are just like more humanoid that just have like wolf features, which is why the universe is so important. So that's why I was like, what world are we in?
Yeah, and I can't pick a very good universe for the werewolf. Like my immediate reaction, because I think of movies that I've seen, if I'm thinking werewolf, I think of Teen Wolf, that 80s movie with Michael J. Fox, and he turns into a werewolf. That was probably my first exposure to werewolves.
No wonder you pick vampire, first of all.
Right?
I can't say I've ever seen the full movie, but I do know what you're referencing.
If you can picture what he looks like in that movie, then you're like, yeah, no, I get why you went the other way.
Yeah, somewhat related for anyone listening. Huge D&D nerd, Critical Role fan. Slight spoilers coming ahead because Gina's not going to watch it, which is fine. There is a part of campaign 3 3, because one of the characters is a werewolf, like in the party.
That's cool.
That was a fun reveal. A little gnome becoming a werewolf. Fantastic. But they go visit other were people, and in like D&D world, you can be like a were tiger, a were bear, like all different types of were creatures.
Okay.
Which is why I'm like, ooh, that would be fun. A were panther was another one. But it's like one form you change into, and it's animalistic and like very predatory. Although the rest of the cast members listed what kind of were animal they would be, and not all of them were predators. And I was like, you guys do not understand the assignment. That's okay.
You are missing the assignment. That's so funny.
One was like a were horse, and I was like, that's not a thing. And a were capybara, so a werebara, and I was like, oh my lord.
That's adorable.
So cute. Oh my gosh, I was on TikTok and someone had a capybara just outside their house and it let them in. They let them in.
Oh, how cute.
They just like chilled on their sofa. And they had a dog, and the dog was just so excited. The capybara was just like, I live here now. And I was like, what?
Instant friends. I love that.
Instant friends.
A modern day Fox and the Hound. The dog and the capybara.
Capybara was like the same size as the dog.
That's so crazy.
It was huge. They like let it get on their sofa and it just like sat up there and was like, this is mine now. And I was like, oh, wildlife.
Yeah.
You amaze me all the time.
It sounds adorable, but when you think of the fact that that is just a large rodent, that sounds crazy, thinking about letting a wild rodent off the road come into your living room.
I do kind of think the word rodent has given a lot of animals a bad name. Yeah. It's just a classification. I love me some trash pandas.
Yes.
They're technically rodents.
That's true.
Woodchucks, although they did ruin my driveway, so that's a little bit of a bitterness there, but they're still cute. Yeah. So many rodents are cute.
I remember even though you had these issues with the woodchucks, you were still protective over them though, so that, you know, your dog didn't freak them out and nothing happened and everyone just like was okay.
Need to stay in their own areas. Yes, I'm very protective of the wildlife around my house because I like it a lot, although there is a pack of turkeys. I'm talking like 20.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they're huge wild turkeys. They have just decided that our road in the back of our neighborhood where my house is just their stomping ground. And I was like, birds,
oh man,
you are gonna regret your life choices, because me and Mara have run into them when we're on our walks.
Oh jeez.
And they're just like, we're fine. And I was like, Mara, please don't.
Yeah, how does she do?
Luckily, she did great.
Oh, good.
I was very calm, and I was just like, we're not engaging. And she was just looking at them as we were walking, and I was like, oh, thank God. Is she 10 years old? Yes. Can she still rip my arm off when she gets going?
Oh, yeah.
Also, yes.
Yeah, I don't think she knows she's 10.
She doesn't.
Like...
So I was just really glad that I didn't have to find out, oh, is her harness too old for this? Because maybe it'll break, and she'll end up in a swarm of turkeys and not know what to do. I don't really know who would win that fight. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, right?
20 turkeys versus one 65-pound dog. Who knows?
Would they get angry? Would they just run away? Who knows?
I don't know. She sounds really mean. She's not. But I also think I'd pick werewolf just because then if I turned, maybe I'd be able to talk to my dog.
Oh, okay. That is a good reason. I like that.
Like I'm bringing you to my side.
But wait a minute.
I just really don't want to have to drink blood. No, not my thing.
True. Yeah.
And this might be unfair, so I will really state this. Vampires almost seem like parasites to me.
Because of the blood sucking?
Yeah. And what's funny is I'm like, werewolves, I'm sure, eat and kill a whole bunch of other things. But the fact that, like, you don't need to kill someone to consume their blood, you can. I don't know why. I think it's just the blood sucking part. It was like, it's like a mosquito, but just way larger. And I'm like, I don't want to be anything like those fuckers. They're the worst bug in the fucking world.
I want nothing in common with a mosquito.
Nothing.
That's funny.
I don't even want my steaks bloody. No, that's not true. I like a good steak. But no, I just...
Yeah, there's definitely unusual pros and cons with werewolf versus vampire. I like the attachment with the moon and that relationship with the werewolf. I think that's cool. The moon is cool. Not being able to touch silver, that kind of sucks.
You're more of a gold girly anyway.
No, it's so true. Yeah, I'm more of a gold jewelry person, but I have silver stuff. And what? I just wouldn't be able to wear that now? Silver's more affordable than gold. You're telling me I'm gonna have to only buy the expensive stuff every single time? What is the percentage? Some gold has a little bit of silver or nickel or other stuff in it. You know, this is complicated.
I mean, anytime you become a supernatural creature that doesn't actually exist, yes, there are complications. Vampires,
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to look at yourself in the mirror. Ever.
that's true.
That's pretty universal when it comes to vampires.
That, yes, I like that most people at least keep that one. Yeah, not having a reflection, not being able to look at yourself in the mirror. I think that is both a pro and a con. It would suck to not know what I look like, but at the same time, I guess that sort of takes away any vanity that you might have. You're just going to have to be full of yourself for other reasons.
That's true.
More than just how you look. So there's that.
Oh, and this also creates an interesting point of would you be able to take pictures of yourself?
Ooh, I'm going to say yes.
But there's mirrors involved with traditional photography.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if it was a mirrorless camera, maybe?
Maybe.
Oh, now I'm intrigued. I need someone who's really into gear
No, yeah.
to tell me.
Sit down and like break down the actual science of like when does this not involve a reflection at all?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the rule, not having a reflection. So
I immediately went to Tyler, by the way. I was like, I'm going to call up Tyler.
we gotta call him.
Like, hey, we haven't
Yeah.
talked in years. I'm going to ask you about mirrors and cameras to see if a vampire could be filmed or photographed with these cameras.
Seriously.
He'd be totally into the conversation and
Mhm.
humor me too, which I think is great.
I imagine though just starting with the gear and then he finally asks, so what are you guys shooting? Oh,
Nothing.
We just need to know if a vampire's photo could be taken.
And I don't think he'd be that surprised
That's so true.
if that's the way the conversation went. He'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think people who know us
Mm-hmm.
know the unexpected is expected
Yeah.
at this point.
Yes. And I think he could absolutely yes and that situation.
Mhm.
I think for sure, in that case, and then be able to unload some more knowledge and ideas, and as if we actually did have the assignment of photographing a vampire.
Yeah.
I think he would totally help us out.
Can you imagine if you were a vampire? Because immortality is a thing of vampires.
Mhm.
For so long, you'd have no idea what you looked like. Let's say you're centuries old.
Yeah,
You probably don't even remember what you look like.
that's so true.
And then all of a sudden being able to get your picture taken because technology has
Mhm.
changed and evolved to not include mirrors. That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy.
This is a
Yeah.
film waiting to happen.
See? Vampires make better movies. There's just so many good ones.
Okay. First of all, this idea, super random.
Okay, but there's like a million movies about vampires compared to ones about werewolves. That's the issue.
I'm gonna go back to the easier to do because that type of visual effect back in the day,
Yeah.
making us feel so old, was hard.
No,
I mean,
true.
it still is hard, but
Okay, this reminds me though, because I love all of the things. I like a classic Victorian type vampire. I also love a very modern take on a vampire. I don't know if you've seen it yet. You have to watch Sinners at some point in time.
I have not.
It is just so good. And even though it's not like modern, it's at least more modern than like Interview with a Vampire. But I just think that the way that they sort of play with the vampire trope is so good. It's so well done.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Mhm.
You know what vampire movie I would watch the shit out of? Because I've seen this suggested online multiple times.
Tell me.
A vampire history professor who just gets so mad when the details are wrong.
What?
And it's just like, I can't tell you why I know that this guy was an asshole. Just trust me. History paints him in the wrong light. And it's just like, ooh, that could be fun.
Wait, that's so fun. No, I love that.
I know. It comes up a lot too with the idea of specifically BBC's interpretation of Merlin. Because he's still alive and kicking in modern day and age, waiting for Arthur to come back, blah, blah, blah. And the idea that Merlin would be like an Arthurian legend scholar and would just get pissed when everyone got things wrong. We'd just be like, what the fuck?
That's so funny.
And can't explain why he knows that they're wrong.
Okay, that's so funny.
Now that's a sitcom waiting to happen.
Yeah.
All immortal creatures living in an apartment complaining about modern people getting shit wrong.
Yes.
About history.
No, I'm into that. I would watch that.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
I was wondering if you were going to go a very Disney type direction, because that is also lingering in the back of my brain. I don't remember if these were both technically DCOMs, Disney Channel original movies, but did you ever see Mom's on a Date with a Vampire or Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire? It was something like that.
Yes.
That one was so good.
Oh, I remember next to nothing about the plot, but I definitely remember watching it.
No, right?
Because again, with the mirrors.
Mm-hmm, yes.
It was like, couldn't see the reflection.
Yes, they're these kids, like their mom has a date, and they think maybe he's a vampire, and then they're trying to figure it out. And so it's little things like that, like the reflections, any other like sort of evidence. I think they sneak out of the house and go to where the mom is, where her date is taking place. I don't remember much more than that, than the goofy little details.
Yeah.
But I remember really liking it. I think that one came on quite a bit. And then also on Disney, I remember The Little Vampire. That one was so good. It was so cute. It had Jonathan Lipnicki, who was in Stuart Little.
Oh, yes. I don't know if I ever actually watched that one.
It was cute. It was like definitely family-friendly vampire, cute Halloween
what
for
a
the
phrase.
kids. Right? If you want your kids to watch vampire movies, we'll have them watch a movie about a little boy who, I think he finds out he's a vampire, or I don't know.
Wait, does he grow?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, if he is a vampire, why would he age?
Oh, well...
This was the whole thing. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna bring it back to Twilight. This was the whole thing with Bella Swan being pregnant and the people, like, I don't even remember what they're called, in, like, the old school vampires being like, what is this baby? You can't turn a baby into a vampire because they're crazy.
Yeah, the Volturi.
Oh my gosh, why do you remember
Girl.
that?
You know I've seen those.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen them too, I just couldn't remember. So that was the whole thing where it's like, if a baby or a child were ever made into a vampire, they didn't age. So that's why I was like, wait, does this little vampire age? Because then how is he a vampire? I love how I'm picking apart the intricacies of a Disney Channel original movie.
Right, I'm pretty sure it was a Disney movie. Yeah, so he's a little kid, and he's a vampire, and he meets another, like, boy vampire who is probably a little bit older than him. It definitely tackles, like, being lonely and being made fun of as a kid and things like that. I don't know if one of those kids, like, turns him into a vampire, if that's how he becomes one. Oh no, maybe he just thinks he's a vampire. That might actually be it.
That would make more sense.
Yes, I think he thinks he's a vampire and acts like it, and then he befriends actual child vampires.
You say this is family friendly. Out of context, freaking terrifying.
And you're like, no, this is scary. Who's letting their kids watch this?
Well, that, and I was like, children have no self-control. Can you imagine if one was a vampire? Bodies piling up everywhere.
It's so true.
It'd be so bad. No.
You're like, you think parenting's hard. Try parenting a vampire.
Vampire. Or a werewolf.
Or a werewolf.
Parenting any sort of, like, supernatural creature would be difficult.
That's true.
Parenting's hard enough as it is. I say as a childless woman.
Yeah, as the mother of a dog.
Yes.
I do like that those are the kinds of shenanigans that come up just a little bit in the show Wednesday, because they are, like, teen monsters, and some of, like, their upbringing and their accessibility to their powers and things like that comes into play a little bit. That is kind of fun.
Still haven't watched Wednesday either.
I know, you gotta watch that eventually.
I know. My list is so long and I get hyper focused on things.
Oh, I totally get that. Yeah, you've got all your D&D things, you're gonna watch Supernatural. No, I totally get it when you have a plan for certain things.
All 15 seasons. It's gonna be great. I will not let myself stall out in the I think it's like season 8 or 9 that they just kind of go off the rails. Every time I'm like, what are they doing? I don't know if I ever told you about this.
Tell me.
When I was living in Arizona and I went to Phoenix Comic-Con, my friend flew out. We went to Phoenix Comic-Con together because the cast of Ruby was there. So she was like, I'm flying out. We're going to do the thing. I was like, great. I haven't been before. I don't think you've ever been to a, like, nerd convention. There are some really weird panels.
No, yeah, I've never been to a con like that. I remember looking up the panels for a couple different things. I've read some of the titles because last year there were some really funny Star Wars ones. No, yeah, you keep going.
There are two that I would want to mention just to like really showcase how fucking weird these things are. The one supernatural one that I went to because I was like, oh, there was nothing really else on at the time. I was like, I'm not up to date, but this will be funny because what they were doing is they were playing an episode and people were putting their own dialogue on top of it.
Oh, that's fun.
They did this with an episode I had not seen. I didn't know the actual episode. I don't know how much of Supernatural you know, but like Crowley was like had a collar and like was bound together in a cage, and there was Rowena was there doing something weird. It was just so weird. And it was these like improv people like, and they're making references to what actually happened in the episode, so I was like, I don't know what's happening. So entertaining, so confusing. And this was a full room and people were just having so much fun. I was like, this is great.
That's such a fun idea.
It was a great idea. The other panel was dramatic readings of fan fiction, but like dirty fan fiction.
Ooh.
Nope. Me and my friend, we go in because we're like, this is going to be hilarious. And it was also slightly disturbing because first we walk in, and one of the things that's great about conventions is people's costumes.
Absolutely.
There is two people on this panel who are dressed up as Cubone and Marowak.
That's so cool.
And I'm talking like in depth. Like there was a skull and everything on both of them. I was like, this is amazing. So cool.
That's really cool.
And then they start reading dirty fan fictions. Here's the thing with what they picked though. It wasn't anything normal. The one that is like seared into my brain because I was so disturbed was a Paula Deen basically having sex with butter. And I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, who wrote this?
Yeah.
Oh, internet.
First of all, how dare you? But at the same time, thank you, kind of.
Thank you?
Yeah, thank you.
It's like, first of all, who wrote this? Second of all fics to pick.
Yeah.
You picked this one? They did it because it was just like so mind-boggling. It's just seared into my brain.
That's so funny.
Because I'm just horrified and entertained at the same time.
Well, and to see this performed by life-size Pokemon, that just makes it even weirder.
Also weirder.
Like, what?
I remember nobody else's costumes on that panel because those two were just so great. I'm pretty sure they were together, like couples costume-esque sort of thing. And if not, they're really good friends. Because I don't know who else I would be like, yeah, we're gonna be in a matching costume on a stage reading smut that's fucking weird in front of a crowd.
Reading Paula Deen smut.
With butter.
Who thought that existed?
I know, right? Here's the thing about fanfiction. You can find anything.
Yeah.
You can find anything. Who was I even talking to the other day? We're just like, I bet you it exists.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to say probably me, but no, I don't think we were talking about that. I mean, we did talk about fan fiction recently.
This is gonna bother me.
I agree, though, where I think, like, pretty much everything is out there. You know, for better or for worse. But people are just so wonderful and creative and weird, and I love that. Yeah, you write that down. You make that a story.
You do the things, because I love fan fiction. It's great. I am also constantly surprised at what actually is written out there.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, what? Okay, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
I bet you there's vampire werewolf fiction out there.
Ooh, yeah.
Just general vampire werewolf fan fiction. Mixing of universes, so you can pick and choose what attributes and universe realities you want to exist. So I just want to be a dog. That would be great.
Just let me be a dog.
Just let me be a dog.
Well, okay, if we were to expand the werewolf vampire debate to possibly other classic monsters, is there another type of monster that you would like to be?
That's a big question.
Yeah, that is like wide open. There's so many options. Immediately I think of like classic monsters like the Universal classic monsters, Frankenstein, the Mummy, stuff like that. Not that I would ever want to be The Creature from the Black Lagoon, but I feel like that one just gets a special shout out because that movie is so cool. The way that they were able to film so much underwater, I
Mm-hmm.
think is awesome. Yeah, it's just a cool looking monster. But I love like a lot of those classics, and usually, my world is film, so that's what I'm thinking of is like Universal classic monsters. The Bride of Frankenstein is one of my absolute favorite monsters. So I gravitate towards her.
That's a good one. Well,
Mhm.
so you gravitate towards film when picking monsters. I
Yeah.
gravitate towards D&D because that's
I
my
love that.
personality these
Mhm.
days. And there's so many.
And so many different types, and even if I'm trying to expand just beyond like movies that I'm thinking of, I'm like
Mm-hmm.
sirens are cool.
Yes. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of monster because I'm about to nerdjack the conversation slightly. Monsters in D&D, some of them are like playable races, so you could like play a
Mm.
character that is technically a monster by definition. So I'm just like, well, I've already done that, which sounds so
Oh,
weird.
mm-hmm.
But if we're talking like kind of like creature monsters, ooh, there's just I mean a dragon. I'd want to be a
Oh, a
dragon,
dragon.
but
Yeah.
like a pretty dragon. Oh my god.
Like in Shrek. You're a
I'm a
girl
girl dragon.
dragon.
I just ordered because I have a spending problem. A new D&D supplement that is all about flower dragons.
What? What is that?
They're beautiful. So basically someone in this universe decided, "Hey, I'm going to make a whole book of dragons inspired by different plants and
Oh
flowers."
my
So
gosh.
normally you'd be like, "I'm a red dragon, I'm a platinum dragon, blah blah blah." No, there's
Mm-hmm.
like a cherry blossom dragon or the cherry blossom one is the one that's in my brain right now. But there's like you could pick a flower basically, and then you'd have an associated dragon
That's so
with the flower.
cool. You should look up your birth flower and then see what the dragon for that looks like.
Oh, what? I always forget. Like, there's
Yeah.
birth everything.
There's birth everything.
Let's see. I'm gonna hold you hostage while I do
No,
this.
yeah, I'm Googling it too. Ooh, you get two? Why do you have two
Why do
options?
I have two options? That doesn't
I don't
seem.
know. I love it. It says the birth flowers for July are the larkspur and the water lily.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Love
Love.
both of them.
Maybe everyone has two birth flowers. Now that I'm looking at
What
this,
are yours?
what I'm gonna say is probably the most trustworthy source is the Farmer's Almanac.
Mm-hmm.
So, sticking with that, you do have the two flowers still. This one for me. Okay, it lists exactly what I thought. Mine is a chrysanthemum.
I can never pronounce that. I know which one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Few places say the November birth flower is the chrysanthemum and also peonies, which I love both. I love peonies too. Okay, love it. Thank you so much for entertaining the chaos with me. And I guess before I totally close it out, have we changed sides at all? Are you still leaning more werewolf than vampire?
100% werewolf. You have yet to convince me of anything other than a werewolf in this debate.
Okay, yeah, I think the werewolf had some great selling points, but I am still leaning vampire myself. So, you know what? That's okay. We don't have to convert each other.
You are the fantasy equivalent of a mosquito.
You know what? I'm fine with that. I'll be the fantasy mosquito.
Okay, as long as you're aware of this decision, you're good. I feel like
At
just
least
own
there's
it.
still the mystery and all of that, you know? Yeah, it works for me.
Okay.
I feel like these tangents were, I was going to say, I feel like these tangents were related. It's always related. That's
Always.
how we get there. My goodness. Thank you so much for listening to Tangentially Related. Come on back next time, because apparently we're talking about more weird shit. So I hope you like weird shit. If you do, you found the right place. All right, we'll see you next time.